Hello children, welcome back to the class. So we have seen how kidneys are located in the body and what are all the parts that are involved in the process of excretion and what are the units of excretory system. Units of excretory system are nephrons and they are also called as uriniferous tubules. So these are the structural and functional units of kidneys. Now we shall see what are all the parts that are present in the nephrons. Each kidney contains more than 1 million of nephrons. So they filter the waste materials from the body. So what are the parts? What are all the parts that are involved in the excretion of waste materials that we shall see in the structure of nephron? So first, nephron has two parts, Malpighian body and renal tubule. So Malpighian body and renal tubules put together. So that is put together make nephron. Now renal artery enters into the kidneys. And this renal artery divides and redivides and forms minute hair-like structure which is called as afferent arteriole. Afferent arteriole enters into the nephron. Afferent means incoming. Afferent arteriole enters into nephron and there is a cup-like structure which is called as Bowman's capsule. Bowman's capsule. So this afferent arteriole carrying the blood, it forms a bunch of blood vessels. And here the Bowman's capsule, the cells will filter the blood and they will remove the waste materials. They remove what are all the excess salts, what are all the waste materials that are present in the blood vessel, they will filter it. And the bunch of blood vessels is called as glomerulus. So afferent artery, renal artery divides and redivides and forms afferent arteriole. Afferent arteriole enters into a cup-like structure which is called as Bowman's capsule and it forms a bunch of blood vessels which is called as glomerulus. Bowman's capsule and glomerulus put together known as a Malpighian body. And here, this in the Bowman's capsule, the cells will filter the blood and the filtered blood is called primary urine. That we shall see later. And after the filtration, the blood vessel comes out, which is called as efferent arteriole. So this one is afferent arteriole and this one is efferent, E-F-F-E-R-E-N-T. This one is efferent. Efferent means outgoing. Efferent arteriole. So this efferent arteriole, it comes out. Now, in the Bowman's capsule, what happens? The filtered blood passes through a tube-like structure. That is, Malpighian body is glomerulus and Bowman's capsule put together known as Malpighian body. Next part of nephron is renal tubule. So it contains, this renal tubule contains three parts. So first part is called proximal convoluted tubule. Convoluted means with many folds. So it is called proximal convoluted tubule. Next it forms a U like bend. That means letter U like bend. So it is called as a loop of, it forms a loop, U-shaped loop which is called as a loop of Henle. And again the second part, that is after a loop of Henle, again it forms a convoluted part which is called as a distal convoluted tubule. And this distal convoluted tube enters into the collecting duct. So all the collecting ducts open into ureter. Ureter will carry the blood. And now let us see what happens to the efferent arteriole. This efferent arteriole surrounds the renal tubule. It forms a network-like structure which is called as a peritubular network. It is called a peritubular network. And now again here what happens, that is in the proximal convoluted tube. First we have seen already in the Bowman's capsule filtration, that means glomerulus, that means bunch of blood vessels. So the blood is filtered. Filtration of blood will take place, which is called glomerular filtration. Next, here in proximal convoluted tube, reabsorption of important substances will take place. Reabsorption. What are all the important substances that are present in the blood are reabsorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule. And then here in the U-shaped structure, Helney's loop, here is a loop. So ionic balance will be maintained, and again it passes through the blood will the waste materials passes through distal convoluted tubule. In the distal convoluted tube, the peritubular network, what happens? The blood will reabsorb. Here reabsorption has taken place. In the distal convoluted tube, waste products from the blood, what are all the waste products that are present in the blood, they are released into the distal convoluted tube. In proximal convoluted tube, what happens? Reabsorption of important substances by the blood, peritubular network. So there are so many blood vessels, they have formed a network around the tubule, renal tubule. In the proximal convoluted tube, reabsorption of important substances will take place, like glucose, amino acids, and calcium, sodium, potassium, water, etc., and important vitamins. They are reabsorbed in the proximal convoluted tube, and here in loop, that is U-shaped structure, Helney's loop, the ionic balance will be maintained, and in the distal convoluted tube, the blood will secrete waste products like urea, uric acid, creatinine, and excess of salts. What are all not necessary excess of salts? They are secreted by the blood into the distal convoluted tube. So this distal convoluted tube opens into the collecting duct. All the collecting ducts will open into the ureter. So ureter will carry the urine. So this is the important structure, important parts in the nephron, and you can also see in the textbook. So for convenience sake, I have drawn diagram in such a way, but here you can see the actual structure. That means it is very. That means you may not be able to follow it. That is why I have done like this, so that you can understand. Okay, so again I am repeating. So nephrons are the structural and functional units of kidneys. Each kidney contains more than 1 million nephrons. Each nephron filters the blood and removes waste materials. So nephron contains mainly two parts, Malpighian body and renal tubule. So renal artery enters into the kidneys and it divides and redivides, and renal afferent arteriole enters into a cup-like structure which is called as a Bowman's capsule, and it forms a bunch of blood vessels which is called as a glomerulus. Here the blood is filtered. So after filtration, efferent arteriole means outgoing. Afferent, AFF. Afferent arteriole means incoming. Efferent arteriole goes out. And here from the Bowman's capsule, renal tubule is formed. Renal tubule has mainly three parts: proximal convoluted tubule, Helney's loop, distal convoluted tube. It is in the shape of U. Okay, in the proximal convoluted tube, reabsorption of important substances like glucose, amino acids, vitamins, calcium, potassium, sodium, and excess of water, they are reabsorbed. And in Henle's loop, what happens? The ionic balance is maintained. And in the distal convoluted tube, secretion, that means waste materials, waste products from the blood are secreted out. So the blood is forming a network around the renal tubule, which is called as a peritubular network. So here the blood releases out waste products from the blood. So the blood vessels release waste products like urea, uric acid, creatinine, etc. And this opens into collecting duct. All collecting ducts will open into ureter. And so after filtration, the renal venule comes out. So all the venules join together to form renal vein. Okay, renal artery forms afferent arteriole and renal venule comes out, and all the venules join together, unite together to form renal vein. So this is the structure of nephron, important function, important parts and functions of this thing. And in the next class we shall see how urine is formed and what are all the substances that are present in the urine. So hope you have understood. So there are so many names, but do not get confused. So if you have some idea, and if you all in the tough part of biology is only with the technical terms. If you understand and if you go on repeating the technical terms, it will be very easy to explain. Okay, it will understand also. You can easily answer the questions. Only thing is you have to get acquainted with the technical terms. Okay, and so you can see and try to understand the parts of nephron. If you have any doubts, please let me know. Okay, thank you.